the knowledge which is pre-existing, but we want to search that knowledge again to find out new areas of interest, new topics of interest, and a certain branch where which is still unexplored, right? So research is something like, okay, this is mathematics is there, the biology is there, design is still there, but what is that area which is not still explored in the existing fields? That is what the research is. Like if I'm wearing if I'm if I'm a workaholic person, for an example, right? And then I want like something, a desk which should be having all the amenities fitted within it. A pen stand, a pen holder, a charger plug, a laptop charger plug, a coffee mug holder, or a breakfast drawer, or some sanitization things. So these are the areas, the problem which need. So these areas where certain problems are existing, and there is a already work done in that area, and there is still a scope of working something new.
मैम आपकी वॉइस कट के आ रही है.
Is what the research is. So we can say that research is a systematic investigation, including research development, testing, evaluation, designed to develop or contribute to generalizable knowledge. It is a careful investigation of an inquiry. Careful investigation, that means it is a systematic investigation also. If we are working to find out a solution problem, then we must go in a chronological order, and the research process helps you to understand that system, the system of working to find the research. Okay. Before moving ahead, I'll say what research is not, because research is often misunderstood also. Hello, is it fine now? Hello, hello, am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Hello,
But your screen is not clear,
hello,
ma'am.
just a second. Let me just check
Ma'am,
the
your screen
connection.
is like smaller in size
It
now.
is fine. I'm connected. Uh, am I audible now?
Ma'am, your voice is also fluctuating.
Am I audible now? Hello,
यस मैडम, यस मैडम. सर मैडम क्या है कि ना सबका ना प्लीज अपनी ऑडियो और वीडियो बंद कर दीजिए सबका. मैडम आपका भी वीडियो बंद कर दीजिए और चला दीजिए. So, क्या है कि कुछ कुछ लोग ना वीडियो चालू करते हैं, इसलिए ड्यू टू द बैंडविड्थ ना कि प्रेजेंटेशन देयर इज अ डिस्टरबेंस. ठीक है, ओके.
We are sorry for the inconvenience. Ma'am will be joining very soon.
Okay, yes, can I start again?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Help. Okay,
Uh,
so we were
Ma'am, you
talking.
can keep your video off if you like to, so you can save the internet.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yes. 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 बराबर मैडम.
ठीक है. Okay, so my voice is good enough now, I believe.
Very clear, ma'am.
Quite
Yes,
loud
madam.
enough?
Yes,
I
madam.
just need to.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
So we were talking about like what research is not. Usually, maximum of the time when the freshers start a research, they get confused.
Sorry,
what
ma'am.
exactly they have to do.
Your screen
So they
is not
must-
visible yet.
I am presenting the screen. It is showing I am presenting.
Yes. Yes, it is
share it?
visible. Now you just need to full screen it. Yeah.
F5. F5 madam.
Is it now? No.
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
doing the
madam.
F5.
Yes, continue. Yes, madam. Continue. This is right.
Yeah. So is it visible now? Is my screen visible?
Yes, madam. Okay. Continue.
All right. So I was telling about what research is not. Research is not the accidental discovery which might occur in a structured research process. But the research is something like it is a form of a phenomena and which was not previously noticed, a process which is not previously not noticed, a method of doing a work better which is not previously occurred or noticed. And it may lead to a structured research process to verify or to understand the observation. What research is not like usually what we feel like, okay, we have collected the data, we have enough data, we can analyze it, and now we have done our research. But research, believe me, research is not only the data collection, it is an intermediate step. Data collection is an intermediate step of the entire research process. So searching out published, like if we have, sometimes we also think like, okay, I have studied 50 research papers, so my research is done. I have written the gist of the 50 research papers, so I have done my research. I have written the analysis out of those 50 research papers, so I have done my research. But research is also not searching out published research results in libraries or the internet. This is an important early step of the research. This is the second important step of the research, that is you have to do a literature review. So what the research is, it is searching for explanation of events, phenomena, relationships and causes. Like if I can say that, okay, when the wind flows from the east or the west, the north is affected. So there is a relationship in the climate, that if one geographical region, some changes is happening, the other geographical region is getting affected by it. So there is a relationship between, there is a cause out of it. So it is a process planned and managed to make the information generated credible. The process is creative, it is circular, and always need more questions. A lot of questions about how, why, where, and what is the new thing about it. So it is a systematic investigation for the study of material sources and also an endeavor to discover new or collate old facts. Example, if I am searching about an architectural building of monumental importance, like if I'm picking some Bawris in Rajasthan, so that is of the prominence importance. It carries certain facts, but there might be something existing which is not explored as of yet. What is the reason of developing a particular design before a particular Bawri? Because Rajasthan is full of Bawris, right? Beautiful Bawris. So there must be, that requires an investigation, a systematic investigation to find out why this particular design, why the other design is not applicable. Might be you are able to find out a new design during the research process or a more applicable form or structure of the Bawri. So research is an activity that contributes to the understanding of a phenomena, a set of behaviors of some entity or entities that is found interesting by a research community. It is understanding of the knowledge that allows prediction of the behavior and activities considered appropriate for the production of understanding of the knowledge. So, as said by the word, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody has thought. Yeah, clear. So research is what? Like everybody has already thought of, but still to find out what nobody has still worked on. So that would be your research area of working. So what is the objective of research? We must understand first, because research without an objective cannot be completed or cannot have a outcome. So the purpose of research is to gain familiarity with the phenomena, to achieve new insights, exploratory or formulative, to portray accurately the characteristic of a particular individual or subject or a group, right? And to determine the frequency.
Madam,
with
your
which
screen
something
not
occurs.
visible. Madam, your screen not visible.
Again, okay, I'll redo it. Is it now?
No, no.
Is it now visible?
Nilima ma'am. Hello.
Sir, that is a resume your presentation is coming at my end. The problem at your end, sir? The problem is from your end? You have to give me rights again.
Ma'am, it
No,
is
no.
visible. Ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am, it is visible, but it is cropping from the. Now it's okay. Very nice, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. You keep telling me this technical will always be there. So we'll keep coping with it up. So research objectives of the research is to determine, yeah, the frequency with which something occurs, the pattern of the frequency also, and to test a hypothesis. That means if we are working out something, we have assumed, so we frame a hypothesis and then we do the testing of the hypothesis. So to conduct a successful research, it has to be done in a systematic way. There should be a logic behind it. It has to be empirical and replicable. Now, how this research has been conducted? There is a set process to be adopted, and every researchers who wants to do it, they must follow this set process. So that is, first, to define the research problem, we must know that in which area we are going to conduct our research, in which area we are actually going to find the problem and what is the problem, right? So without the problem, a research cannot be conducted. And from where do we come to know that the problem is existing? For that, we need a good study on the topic. Read the topic. If my topic is like apparels, if I want to know more about apparel, so during this COVID, I will start thinking about, is there, I can develop a fabric which is conducive for the health, which can protect me from the virus and the bacteria, like it happened in the case of the mask or the PPE kit, because there is still a lot of research is still required for the PPE kit, because that is not breathing, right? But the doctor sweat inside it. So that is literature review, like we must study to know about a particular topic so that we know where the problem exists, where we can work to find out a solution to make it better, to make a process better, to make an object better, or to make a utility product better. So for that, we need to study and we need to find out what previous work has been done on that. A very good example I will take of the televisions, like there must be a good literature available for the television, that we switched from black and white TV, shuttered the television to now LEDs, now curved LEDs. So these development happens with a research. So research is required. Why black and white TV? We have a need of a color television. The scientists did the research and then they come up with a new product. Similarly, we see in the automobile sector also, we see in the apparel sector also, in various other medical sector also, as we see in the case of the vaccine development for the COVID. So all this is finding a problem comes through what exactly is you should know about things. If I'm going to bake a bread, I will think about like how this bread could be better by adding or subtracting some kind of an ingredient. I'll take this example later on. So hypothesis formation is when we have already know about the research problem and then we make the assumption, okay, if I subtract this, the result might be this. If I add this, the result might be different. So that is the hypothesis formation. Now, when we start the research, it is important to set out the objectives. So objectives of the research actually helps us to understand what exactly, which areas I need to work on. Like I need to find out the knowledge. If I'm doing a research on architecture, monumental prominent site, then what is the history of that site, who has constructed, and how I'm going to go about from where I'm going to collect the data, information from some authenticated sources, maybe from the census, maybe from the archaeological department, from the government of India, some agencies who are working, or some councils who are working for the restoration of the monumental building. So these are the objectives, and the objectives also mentions like how I am going to work on this research. How? What would be my steps? I would meet them, I will frame the questions, I will collect the data, I will use these tools to collect the data or to analyze the data. Where is my population? Where are my respondents? What is the size of the samples? So the objectives, when we draw the objectives, when we write the objectives, it helps us to carry out and finish the research within the given time. When we go haywire is like when we are not clear about the objectives, when we are not clear about the research problem, when we are not clear about the outcome. So that is a place when we go haywire and our research doesn't come out with the conclusions and we have to rework on that. So now I'll go to the next is like, I think I have been much clear till now. What is research process? Yeah. Shall I go on next to the next topic? Some answers, yes.
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, okay. Now,
Yes.
so I'm going to talk about how many types of research are there. Believe me, when I was doing my PhD, I was so confused on like what type of research is this. So I keep on banging my head with my supervisor, and then she used to tell me. And I have contacted many doctors while doing my PhD to get the clarity on the research, right? So we must understand before taking up the topic, like how many types of researches are available we can study on, and in which parameters do our research fits in. Okay, so descriptive, analytical, qualitative, quantitative, experimental, non-experimental, exploratory, and the scientific methods, I'll take it from the end. So descriptive research. So descriptive research includes surveys and the fact findings, inquiries of different kinds, right? So descriptive research is good for the people who are from the fine arts, who are from the literature, and they want to work on some kind of study on the previous information available and to find out and to present a new opinion about the previous theories or the previous phenomena or the previous biography or the previous art forms, right? So descriptive research is good for those fields, and the main characteristic of this method is that the researcher has no control over the variables. I'll take it further, like what are the variables and what does it exactly mean with an example. So the person can only report what has happened and what is happening. So the presentation of what has happened and then what is happening in the view of the researcher also is the descriptive research. So the researcher must take particular care not to intervene in the observed object or phenomenon, as its behavior may change with the external factor involved, right? So if I'm talking about, say, government officials investigation, how public census changes with the change of the geographical locations and many other external factors like the availabilities. Like if I take an example of urban and non-urban areas, right? So the study of the census of the urban areas will be different from the study of the census of the non-urban areas. So there are external factors which are involved, like non-urban because there may be a fertile and agricultural land, but not the industrial area is there. So these factors, the observations can be studied as it is available. So common descriptive research questions will be starting with how much it is present, how regularly it occurs, and what is the percentage and what particular time frame. We can take a range of the time frame also, and what it is. So these questions, when we put to a topic these questions and you get an answer, that's a descriptive research question. So primarily, our descriptive research questions will be used to quantify a single variable. That is, in the case of the census study, we are studying the population. But there is nothing stopping you covering multiple variables within a single question. So if I take another example of an apparel brand that wants to understand the fashion purchasing trends among New York buyers and will conduct a demographic survey of the region, okay, say the New York City. So they will gather the population data and then conduct descriptive research on this demographic segment. So in the demographic, we know what components are involved. So we do collect the data on the demographic parameters. So the study will then uncover details on what is the purchasing pattern, but not cover any investigation information about why the pattern exists, because that cannot be found under descriptive research. So descriptive research has a limitation that we can only find out the pattern, but not why this pattern is occurring. So the next we will talk about the analytical research. Analytical research is good for the marketing area, business trends finding, or the sales reports, or the consumer behaviors. So where we collect a set of data and then we analyze it using the various stats to find whether the relation trend is increasing, trend is decreasing, or what is the effect of a particular product, what is the sales figure, sales range, and the sales graph of a particular. So it is completely business-oriented analytical research, and that involves a collection of set of data. Now, the exploratory research is something we can say that in the area in which we are exploring something new. So we explore only something which is not previously existing. So it is an investigation. It is a type of a research which is conducted for a problem that is not yet well understood or sufficiently researched. So the objective of exploratory research is the development of a hypothesis rather than testing it, right? So in the exploratory research is very good for the design field people, because they usually work in this direction, developing a new product, developing a new designs. So they are mostly doing the exploratory research. So it relies less on theory and more on the collection of data to identify patterns that explain these phenomena. A very good example I'll give you while I was working in Jodhpur, like the terracotta. The clay which is available for the terracotta, making a particular solid, good quality of the terracotta products is different. Not every kind of clay is used into it. So I really need to have to explore like which terracotta is good, like Pokhran terracotta or the Jodhpur terracotta, or the terracotta which is the clay which is available on the nearby regions. So that is the exploratory research, because I am finding out the type of the clay which would be best and the long lasting, which would be increasing the life of the product. So that is the exploratory research. The exploratory research can be done also in a manner wherein I am exploring the new materials.
Excuse me, madam.
Like
Madam,
yes.
Your PPT is not visible.
Again, okay.
No, madam, it is visible. The problem is at other end. No, madam.
मैम विजिबल थी,
Yeah.
कोई दिक्कत
Visible थी, madam.
Okay, maybe.
Okay, so there is some users at the end of some of the users problem, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
ma'am, it's
madam.
not visible.
All right. I think for some
Yeah,
of you
not
it's not
visible.
visible, and for
Madam,
some
it
of
is
you it's
Not visible,
difficult.
ma'am. Yeah, not
It is visible,
visible.
madam.
Not
It is
visible,
visible.
actually.
Okay, I'll
No,
reshare it. I'll
no,
reshare it.
madam, it is
Ma'am, it
visible.
is not
Hello,
visible.
madam, it is visible.
Excuse me,
Yeah, you have to ping the audience.
all those who
Not
feel
visible, ma'am.
it is not visible, just click on the pin of the slide. There is
Go
a
for
pin.
pin.
Yeah, you click on it and it will be visible. That
Madam, press F5. Press F5 and अभी F5 पर प्रेस कर दीजिए मैडम, बस कुछ नहीं. Yes, it is visible.
Yes,
आप कुछ
now
मत
now
करिए.
it's
Continue,
coming.
continue, madam.
All right.
अरे repeat है.
Okay, this way I also get a break. A little bit. So I was talking about exploratory research. Like exploratory research is also when we explore the new material for a particular product, as we have seen in the case of the mask, like N5 mask and the fabric mask and the different layers of the mask. And there is some other might be, you may come up with the design, a fraternity might come up with a mask which is aloe vera based, or a mask which is resistant, which has some quality for filtration of the air. So that is the area of the exploratory research. So exploratory research design is chosen to gain background information and to define the terms of the research problem. Okay, so the characteristic of exploratory research is the sample size usually is it can be small, it can be large, but the degree of the structure is flexible and unstructured usually. That is why I specifically mentioned the design industry usually work on the exploratory research. So whosoever in the design field working in the research, they can mention the research as the exploratory research. And usually the cost can be range from low or the medium cost, and it usually works on the objectives of discovering new ideas and the development of the hypothesis, but not the testing. So the testing of the hypothesis may be taken to another research project, right? So the awareness of the problem is minimal, because also there is less literature available on the exploratory in the cases of exploratory research. Why? Because the work earlier, not much work has been done. So the work always is in the platform of a new work. There may be the literature available on the surrounding fields, but not particularly the same field. So the design field people usually work on the new design, so they must not get confused which kind of. So another example I'll take is like, say if you have your own bakery, the Cupcake King, and if you wanted to improve your sales, so but you weren't sure where to start, so you would be doing the exploratory research to find out the areas of your business that needs improvement, right? So you will frame the hypothesis might be the quality of the bread, the taste of the bread, the flavor of the bread. You might need to add certain flavors to it. So finding out the different flavors, you need to do the exploration. That is the exploratory research. All right. So the longitudinal research is usually conducted in the field of medical, psychological, and the social areas. And it is the monitoring of the same event, right? Like I can say the traffic police observations or the study of the emotional patterns of the teenagers. That would be the longitudinal research. It aims to track changes in a number of variables and see how they evolve over the time. Example, a cohort study that analyzes changes in a particular indigenous population over a period of 15 years. Similarly, I can also say a group of teenagers living in a metro, a group of teenagers living in a tier 2 cities, and studying their psychological behavior, because they are dependent upon certain external factors as well. So that is a longitudinal research that involves a medical condition, like with the weather changes, the induction of the asthma in the people. So we'll take a group of people and then we'll conduct a study. That is a longitudinal study. The impact of a particular cream on a particular type of a skin. So we'll see the type of the skins, the ingredients of the cream, and then we'll test it. So that would be the longitudinal research. So the clinical or the diagnostic research is also follow the case study methods, in-depth approaches to reach the basic causal relationships between the two. Such studies usually go deep into the cause of things or events that interest us using very small samples. This is mainly the testing, like the testing of the vaccine in a few group of people. So that would be the clinical or the diagnostic research. Now, the qualitative research. So the qualitative research is especially important in the behavioral sciences, where the aim is to discover the underlying motives of human behavior. Now, this is a very important, interesting for me. Techniques used such as discussion, analysis, interviews, surveys, records, and participants' observation. Of course, that could be further converted to the quantitative analysis and the research. The observations collected are evaluated numerically, and statistical methods are used for the result validation. So the qualitative research is subjective always, and all the data cannot be fully controlled. And it is usually come up with the questions like why and how. Example like examining post-COVID-19 effect on the sleep behavior, right? So we have to study various sleep behavior patterns. So we have to see like what are the characteristics, what are the biological conditions, what are the biological features of the patients who were affected by the COVID, and how the sleep behaviors as induced into them or changed into various kind of people after this COVID infections. Similarly, the impact of the COVID-19 lockdown on living conditions of the migrant laborers in India. That would be because that would be on the base of the personal interviews, the primary data collection. It would be a survey inclusive. The dimensions of qualitative methods usually include understanding the context, understanding the people, and understanding the interaction. So how economic, political, social, and cultural, environmental, and organizational factors influence health. So that is the one dimension which we study under the qualitative methods. People, how people make sense of their experiences of health and disease. That would be different for different range of people. So we have to again control the certain factors and the variables. So understanding interaction, how the various actors involved in different public health activities interact with each other, their interactive behavior patterns. So it is basically the study of the behavior pattern. So now if we have to understand really what is qualitative and how it is different from quantitative. So the focus in the qualitative study is about the quality. Okay, quality. And as well as in the quantitative, it is quality, but it is in the terms of numbers. Okay, the figures. एक numeric value होगा. Qualitative में it is in the form of the words. Like if I want to see the laughing patterns when the weather changes. Okay. So I will first collect the laughing patterns. Could be loud, it could be medium, it could be mild, it could be just a curve. So I just then give it on the Likert scale. So I will quantify it later. Earlier, I first have to find out the words, how I'm going to collect the data, that is qualitative. It is instrumental, that is interview observations, documents, questionnaires will be there. And in the quantitative, we would be testing the behavior, observations and the questionnaires, right? So the framing of the questionnaires would be in the qualitative, testing the questionnaires would be in the quantitative. The sample size, the sample type would be small and non-random, whereas in the quantitative, the sample size is large because it would be including your population. Like if I have made if I want to do a study on the, say, the emotional patterns of the teenagers, then I have jot down, I have done the literature review, I have studied on it, and I have noted certain factors under the qualitative. Now I want to measure this qualitative behavior under the population of, say, Delhi NCR or the Noida within a population of, say, 5,000 teenagers. Okay, so that sample size is large. Okay, it could be random, like it could be like teenagers of various schools, various locations. So it could be random. It's not necessarily need to be stratified always. So that checking of the testing of the data comes into quantitative, whereas framing out the questionnaire is, finding out the parameters of the questionnaire is the qualitative. The design of the qualitative is flexible, and in the quantitative it is predetermined because we always use a certain scale and a population size. And the aim of the qualitative is understanding in depth about the problem, and the quantitative then generalizes for the further step of the analysis. And in the qualitative, we see the findings are comprehensive and descriptive in nature, right? And in the quantitative, it is precise and it is numerical. Data collection happens in case of quantitative is random sampling, and the structured data collection instruments are used, and the result produced are usually generalized, compared and summarized. Within the qualitative, the questions are open-ended, okay, and it is depend upon the interactive interviews, and it is descriptive in nature. So the common qualitative study designs includes like ethnography. It is a portrait of the people, study of story. As I mentioned, it is good for the literature and the artist. And the culture of a group, social sciences, usually to develop cultural awareness and to read the cultural behavior patterns also. And the sensitivity about any situation or time. Phenomenology, study of individuals, lived experiences or events, maybe after AIDS, or maybe later on we can take up a study on this COVID, post behavior of the COVID. And the grounded theory can be like going beyond, adding to the existing body of the knowledge, developing a new theory about a phenomena. And the participatory action research is involving the own personal being, social culture settings and the experiences. And of course, the case studies we can take up. Like we can take up of the case studies, like I can take an example of different hospitals who are allotted under COVID treatments. So we can take up a case study how the COVID treatment arrangements, patterns, behavior, patient behaviors, employees behavior was there in a particular hospital. It might vary from hospital to hospital. So that would be under the case study. So the sampling in the qualitative research is aimed to generate a sample which allows understanding the social process of interest. Okay, and the technique is used for a purposive sample selection of most productive sample to answer the research questions. Because if I want to study the pattern of the employees who are working in the hospitals in a particular COVID allotted hospital, so that pattern is purposed. Like I want to see their mental pressure, I want to see their emotional behavior, I want to see their emotional trauma or something, because every day they see a lot of deaths. The patterns are changing, the patterns of crimination are changing. So this kind of a study will be the sample type of the qualitative research. Now, what is qualitative data? Data are not easily reduced to numbers, and it is mainly based on the opinions, values, and the behaviors of the people, and the transcripts of individual interviews and focus groups, fields, note from the observation of certain activities, video recordings, copies of the documents. So the data would be in this form. The data types would be structured text like writing, stories, survey comments, new articles, books. And unstructured would be in the form of transcription, interviews, focus groups, and the conversations, audio recordings, and the video recordings, right? So this is how we are collecting the qualitative data. The methods of the qualitative data are get close enough to study object to observe, and usually they have to do a one-to-one interaction, interviews of the focused group, using rapid assessment procedure like free listening, file sort, biography, life history, ranking, and all these factors. The questions could be hypothetical. Like example, if I have to take is, if you get the chance to be an HIV scientist, do you think you can discover a vaccine for HIV? So that is hypothetical. Provocative is something I heard people saying most evaluations are subjective. What do you think? So this is absolutely on the opinion based. Ideal, in your opinion, what would be the best solution for eliminating gender-based violence? Again, it's opinionative based. Interpretative, what do you mean by good? So the meaning of the good would be different for every people. Okay, so the good might be definition of good would be different for everybody. So that is interpretative. So I can say that if I say take a survey like about the metro cities, so the people will say the metro city is good, but in what sense? The tier 2 cities are good, but the good definition of good changes for the tier 2 cities. The definition of the good changes for the tier 1 cities. So this one particular factor can be variable as in different conditions. Preventive is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. So again, this is again a huge area of research. And then loading and the multiple. Do you watch that culturally degrading TV shows on the condom use, or tell your 3 favorite authors? So that would be again on the basis of the opinion. Tools for helping the analytical processes, summaries, self memos, how you can do it. I mean, like you need to do a summaries, key points, emerge for undertaking the specific activity, and then taking the memos of it, making a record of it, and then writing the ideas, your opinion, your research as you think of them, and to maintain a research diary, which is very important for every research, because whatever you think, when you observe, you study about your topic, you must write it down. The process of qualitative data analysis is first organize the data. You must know first of all what data you have to collect and then organize it. Identify framework, sort data into a framework, then use the framework for descriptive analysis and then the second order analysis and then the report writing. So we'll first see how we handle the organizing of the data. So label the data, structuring it and familiarizing it so that you remember it as a researcher. Because research is a very in-depth process and we tend to get deviate from the topic. So transcribe the data and there are softwares available for it. And we can translate the data using by doing the data cleaning also, because in the very first step, we just collect the information and then we systemize the information. We eliminate the information which is not required and we'll keep the information which is required, and then we structure it. And then we make it and put it in a framework that is explanatory, that is exploratory also. So explanatory, whether you must ask whether this information is required in my research work, whether this information is useful for carrying out the outcomes or the analysis of my research work. Exploratory is like how much data I need more, if this data is sufficient or I need to do a more collection of the data. So doing this planning is required a coding. Okay. Like I remember a phrase when I was doing PhD and one of the Dr. Anil Sarin told me, you lock yourself in a room and think about your topic. And then only you will be able to reach a conclusion. So this is about identifying a framework because you need an ultimate peace of mind while structuring your data. Sorting out the data, coding is required, like which data should come first, which should be second, which scale is required to analyze it, how we need to modify the framework, and do not afraid to modify the framework n number of times, because research is something a perfect result is required. So you might need to restructure your entire research process many times, your data many times, your literature many times. So this is a very rigorous task. The helpful are the software which are available now, which even do the summarizing the data and finding out, they do the thinking on your behalf. So such softwares are now available, which actually helps us easy out of our work, carry out the work process. The descriptive analysis is ranging of the responses into categories and identifying the recurrent themes. Okay, and if you are doing the exploratory research, you can stop at this step. But if you are doing a descriptive, you can further go on the second order analysis, which involves search for the casualties, identify related themes, notice the patterns, okay, and then develop a hypothesis. Search data or answer research questions, identify recurrent themes, notice patterns, identify responded clusters, search for the causality, and then build sequence of the events, and then frame a hypothesis. Okay, so this is how we collect the process of the qualitative things. Now, how many types of qualitative analysis are there? I'll take it quickly. So the first is the content analysis, because this is very important for the people who are working in the field of fine arts, because they are usually get confused on what kind of research they should do it, or the people in the design field, like what kind of research they should do it. So the content analysis is the procedure for the categorization of verbal or behavioral data, okay, for the purpose of classification, summarization, and tabulation. The content can be analyzed on the two levels, descriptive and the interpretative. Descriptive is what is the data, and interpretative is what was meant by the data. Okay, first of all, we have to decide on, like if I have to rework on the biography of Gandhiji, okay, so I must know first of all what is the data, from where I'll get the information about Gandhiji. There would be a huge literature which is available, videos, forms, audio forms, written text, on the online also. And when I collect the data, like then I have to interpret it. What is the meaning of this data? Is there any relationship between my research problem to this data? So that is the content analysis. Okay. So when we are doing a research on the content analysis, we literally have to read, because at least 80% of the content which is available on the topic, you must go to it, because you should have a solid information about might have to change the problem. Next is the narrative analysis, are the transcribed experiences. Now these are the interviews, observation has narrative aspect that researcher has to sort out and reflect upon them, enhance them and present them in a revised shape to the reader. Like if I talk about some document on the behavioral pattern, or say the society behaviors, or maybe some kind of liberalization for women in the working, or the empowerment of the women in certain direction, or the women in the politics. So if I am working to change the behavioral pattern of the society, and I'm working in this direction that I need to induce a different thought process in the society, then that is a narrative analysis that the media persons do it really well, because when we have to introduce a new thought in the society, this narrative analysis are required, because we have to see what the existing thought process is there, and then what in how which manner we can present it so that it is accepted by the society also, right? So this empowerment concept of the women in politics, or the women in army on the front and the fighter pilot, sometimes people express themselves in a simple and straightforward way. There would be a group of people who would be expressing themselves vaguely, indirectly. Like we can say that 3 generations previous, the group of 3 generations back, they do not believe in presenting themselves directly. But you see the current generation, the millennial generation, they will be believing in presenting themselves straight away. And the analyst must refer to the context when interpreting the message, as the same phenomena can be described in a number of different ways depending upon the context. So this is the discourse analysis. Like it is addressing, making sense of everyday social life, how language is used in everyday situation, and how the use of language can change the situation. So it is a focus on the ordinary people methods. The framework analysis is the familiarization, identifying a thematic framework, coding, charting, mapping, and interpretation, as I have already covered this. So the grounded theory is analytic induction. It starts with an examination of a single case from a predefined population in order to formulate a general statement about the population, a concept, or a hypothesis. So it is the analyst examines another case to see whether it fits the statement, or if it does not, a further case is selected. It doesn't, then there are 2 more options. So then another case is selected. So this is an ongoing process. So analytical induction is something like we keep on testing the hypothesis in a different population groups to change as a predefined population, what was the single case and what is the different cases in different populations. Now the next comes in the experimental or the empirical research, and this is the guidelines, the guidelines for the scientific methods of the research also, and this is appropriate when proof is sought that certain variables affect the variables in some way. So this is completely dependent upon the independent variable and the dependent variable and the effect of one on the another. So it is about designing or replicating a phenomena whose variables are manipulated but under strictly controlled conditions. Okay, so if I have to say like, I'll take this example further. In order to identify or discover its effect on another dependent variable or object. It is a data-based research coming up with conclusions, specific proved conclusions, okay? So the hypotheses are tested in this, which are capable of being verified by observations and the set experiments, lab experiments, we can say. So the, for example, randomized controlled trial studies for measuring the effectiveness of new pharmaceutical drugs on human objects, human subjects, like testing a new drug on the humans. So that is the experimental research. Or the effect of a particular chemical on a particular skin, or the effect of the aloe vera fabric on the skin. So that would be all come under the experimental research. Basically, the textile research are usually the experimental research. Also known as the observational study, it focuses on the analysis of a phenomena in its natural context. And due to its observational nature, it is often used in the descriptive research. Now, because experimental research is directly linked with the scientific methods and the scientific research, so the scientific method involves the principles and the processes regarded as characteristic of necessary for scientific investigation. It has a process approach of generating valid and trustworthy knowledge. So the scientific method would be conducted in a manner of we must have a problem or a question, like floor cleaning phenyl, if I say. So what could be different kind of phenyl, because it was earlier with a peculiar smell. Now we have a different order aroma based phenyls. So we were having a particular question, right? Like in major of the automobiles in India, we have seen like in the Senate, this is a necessity now, but not earlier. The airbags for the safety of the driver and the front seaters. So that was a problem which was addressed, which were tested with the many. The best case is the nano car, which has been tested on many, like keeping the engine at the backside and how it will behave in the Indian climatical conditions, the while climbing on the hills. So there was a problem which were addressed and which were tested through the scientific methods and the experiments, right? So there is always a problem. Develop a question or a problem that can be solved through the experiment, okay? And then make observation and research of your topic of interest. Then formulate a hypothesis. Hypothesis is like, if I increase the sugar in milk, will it affect the growth of the child? Or if I'm adding the extra protein in the milk, is it really affecting the growth of the child or the height of the child? So in what percentage it is affecting? In what percentage it is affecting in different scenarios of the child of Himachal Pradesh or the Punjab or Haryana. So that is a formulating a hypothesis. Okay, and then we conduct the experiments. So for conducting the experiments, we should have a detailed material list with us so that the outcomes could be measured. And then comes the analysis, which is presented in the form of tables, graphs, and photographs, and the report generation. And the result is communicated, and then a new brand like Horlicks is formed, or a new brand like Boost is formed. For the sports people, the Boost is there. For the Horlicks, it is for the females. So after only adding certain specific characteristics, the population is decided and the confirmed. So now we are going to do this interesting experiment or an assignment, we can say. Hands-on will do it. Like, let's put our knowledge of the scientific method to a realistic example that includes some of the terms you will be needing to understand to use. Problem question. Just give me a moment. So the problem and the question is, this is a story. I have tried to frame it out in a story, interesting story. So John watches his grandmother baking the bread. And then he asked his grandmother what makes the bread to rise. Okay. So this curiosity was there in the child, that why the bread rises but not a chapati. Chapati never rises, but the bread always rises. So she explained that she asked the grandmother, and she explains that yeast releases a gas which feeds on the sugar. So she explained two factors, yeast and the sugar, which is involved in the process and which gives a rise to the bread. Okay. So the problem is, John wonders if the amount of sugar is increased, will it affect the size of the bread? Will the bread rise more? Or if I decrease the amount of the sugar, will the bread will not will not be as fluffy as it is there? So these questions haunted John. So the John observation research, John researches the area of baking he studied. So this is the area of, what if somebody can answer me? This is what step of the research? This was the step of dropping the yeah. So this observation and research is which step? Yes, anyone? This is literature review, where we study the literature existing knowledge on the topic. So the John studied the existing knowledge on the area of the baking, how the baking process occurs, how the fermentation happens, and all the questions related to this, the process, the ingredients, the oven, and the air temperature inside the oven, the air quality, the air humidity, everything which is involved in the process of baking the bread. Okay, and he maintained a journal in which he keep writing. Okay, so when we are doing the literature review, we also cite from where we have picked up the information, because from wherever we are picking the information, it has to be an authenticated site. It has to be a book. It has to be a published research paper. It has to be a council, government agency, government body, or some kind of a URL in case of online research we are doing, with the date, of course. So we mentioned from where we have picked the information. So what John did, John observed, he read, he noted down all the information, and that is a part of our literature review. Now John talks with his teacher and she gives him an experimental design diagram to help him set up the investigation. Now, after talking with his teacher and conducting further research, he comes up with a hypothesis. Now, what is a hypothesis? Now, after doing before the problem framing, he has done the problem framing. He comes up with why the bread is rising, but why not the chapati? And what are the reasons of the bread rising? And so he studied about it. He did literature review. Okay. And then he also wrote down the steps of information collection. And then ultimately he comes with an assumption कि अगर मैं sugar का amount कम करूँ या बढ़ाऊँ तो उसका bread पे क्या effect आएगा. So they are the hypothesis. He has come up with an assumption: if more sugar is added, then the bread will rise higher. So this hypothesis he thought of working on it. It can be proven null, it can be proven right, it can be proven wrong as well. So the hypothesis is formed in a way to test. So now in the next hypothesis, what is hypothesis? Is an educated guess about the relationship between the independent and the dependent variables. Now we have here two variables, the dependent variables and the independent variables. Now what is the independent variables? Independent variable is the control is in my hand, that I can increase or decrease the weight of the sugar, the amount of the sugar. Okay, it could be 25 grams, it could be 50 grams, it could be 100 grams, or so on. So that is independent variable. That is what is being selected in the study, because I'm changing this. I'm going to change this variable to test the study, to test the hypothesis. What is the dependent variable? Can anyone guess? What would be the dependent variable in this? The dependent, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the dependent variable would be the size of the bread, because the size of the bread is dependent upon the amount of the sugar which is being keep on changing, and we are testing it, right? So the dependent or the responding variable is the factor that may change as a result of the change made in the independent variable. So it is a factor which is dependent on the independent variable. So in that ways we can remember. So here the sugar is the independent variable and the size of the bread is a dependent variable. So the John, being very interested, being a child, his teacher helps him come up with a procedure. What is the procedure? That is a research method. That is objectives, what we are going to do and how we are going to do it. And the list of needed materials, what all he would be requiring to test his hypothesis, because of course the list of materials is required. So here we'll see what are the list of the materials. So the John determined the control group. Now we'll see what is the control group. The control group in a scientific experiment is the group that serves as the standard of comparison. Okay, so that means a line which I'm drawing, or zero figure in a number line I'm drawing, so my results can go in a negative way or in a positive way. Okay, so that zero is my control group, which I have fixed. This is what I'm going to, and the above, I'm going to do the rest above it, the above amount and the below amount as well. So the control group is exposed to the same conditions as the experimental group, except for the variable being tested. So the all experiments should have compulsory have a control group. So in this case, the control group is 50 gram of sugar. Why? Because 50 gram of sugar is what is the standard recipe the John's grandmother is using. So that is a standard, that is the control group, because the results of the 50 gram of sugar is already available. And my curiosity is to find the effect of sugar on the rising of the bread. So this is my control group. So I can test the experiment with 30 gram of sugar, 20 gram of sugar, and I can also test this experiment by 60 grams of sugar. So on the positive side and on the negative side of the control group. And now what are the constants? So the John's teacher reminds him to keep all other factors constant because we are testing only effect of one factor. I have framed one hypothesis. I can also frame multiple hypotheses in it by like adding the flavor. That could be my another hypothesis. Okay, while adding other extra ingredient to make bread more crunchy, that would be another hypothesis. But here it is one, so I am keeping other factors constant. So then I can study one variable's effect on the of one factor which is changing. Okay, with the changing amount, the variation amount of the. So the constant is an experiment are all factors that are experimental attempts to keep same in all the trials which they are doing. Okay. So if I'm baking a bread with 20 gram of sugar, my oven is constant, my air control is constant, my temperature is constant, my even the pan is constant. Okay. Any other factor which you can think which is constant, which is kept in this experiment? Like I mentioned pan, I mentioned air, I mentioned oven, I mentioned temperature, right? So that might include other ingredients like rise time, brand of ingredients like the age of the yeast, right? The bread was like the temperature, the cooking time, of course. So these are the constants. So then John writes out this procedure for the experiment along with the materials listed in the journal, and he has both of these checked by his teacher. So the trials, now we'll come to the trials. Now we have seen in the very second, third, fourth slide like the research process, steps of the research process. So can somebody tell me which step is this trials? Can somebody tell me which step will this step? Yeah?
Empirical study.
I'm getting a very feeble voice. Anyways, yeah.
Is it
So the
empirical?
trials refer, yeah. So trials refer to replicate groups that are exposed to the same conditions, right? It's experiment. We are conducting the experiment now. So trials refers to the replicate groups that are exposed to the same conditions of an experiment. So what John is going to do it, he is going to do 3 trials. Okay. Because the result may vary in every trial, that there are chances of the errors as well. So he decided to conduct the result experiment in 3 trials. Okay. So note down the results. He was maintaining a journal. He made a table to note down the results of the data. So he's thought of measuring the bread in length, width, and height centimeter cube, and the size of the bread loaf in centimeter cube. And he has given 3 number of trials with different amount of sugars, and the control group was 50. So as he has decided only like 25, but I can take like 45, I can take 40, I can take 30, 35, 25, 20, 10, 15, okay, to see the wide range of my results. But because 50 is a control group, right, and I can take it like 50, he has taken 100, I could have taken like 90, 75 also, and then 100, 200, or 250, 500. So that completely depends upon me, how many amount of sugar or how many times I want to do these trials. So as in the table, you can see the control group effect is like in the third trial, it is 1296. And with 100 gram of sugar, the highest result is 1188, right? In 25 gram of sugar, the result is lower. Even in the 250 grams of sugar, the results are lower, and even lower with the 500 grams of sugar. So now by this observation, the John gets an idea like where he can go, in which direction can he go for the further research. Okay, he conducted one experiment, he got certain result, and this result now opened the gate for the further step of the research, that is to find out the variations between 50 and 100 or 50 or 25. Okay, so now this first experiment has opened up the scope for the further experiment. So John has the liberty to decide on the next experiment between 50 to 25 to see what could be the result variations, between 50 to 100 to further see the result variations. Okay, might not be 620 250 because the size of the bread is decreasing here, right? So he has the 3 chances to conduct 3 more experiments between first 50 to 25, so he can take a control, changing of 50, 45, 40 till 25, or maybe a lower to it, and maybe between 50 to 100. So John decided to conduct between 50 to 100. Okay. John rejects his hypothesis but decides to retest using sugar amount between 50 gram and 100 gram. So once again, John gathers his material and carries out his experiments, and the results are like he decided to conduct the experiment between 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. Now, as you can see, when the best results has come. Somebody please, you can see the screen. The best results have come in the using 70 grams of sugar.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 70 gram of sugar. So John has reached to a conclusion like yes, please. Hello. Okay, I'm
Fine,
not getting the
ma'am.
voice. Yeah. So John has reached the conclusion that while using 70 grams of sugar, the size of the bread has reached the highest, that is 1638. But this is not the end of the experiment. Okay, you can end up here as well, but the experiment can go further. Like you can keep testing whether it can be better at 75 or it can be better at 65, 62, 63 grams. Okay, so this is the increasing scope of your research. So until you really find out with the minor changes of the amount of the sugar, is it really affecting? Whether you are, when you're actually getting a very similar figures, like the size of the bread might be like 1638 and 1636, right? So 1636 and 1638, so we can pick up the 1638 as a final result of my research. The hypothesis testing that this is what I'm declaring as the fixed amount which can give the maximum rise to the bread. So this experiment, I have given a small example here, which can be expanded further. This can be expanded in a manner like 51, 52, 53, or 51.5, 51.2, like that. So there can be a possibility of 10 ranges between 50 and 60, similarly 56, 70, just to check which is the best one, which amount of sugar is the best one. Because here again we see there is a scope of study, like 70 has given 1638, but this cannot be considered as a final amount of sugar, right? Because I have not found the nearby figures around it. I'm not finding any value which is near to 1639 or 1637, isn't it? So I can keep conducting the experiment until I find a final value which is very much nearby to my highest amount of the sugar which I have used for my conduct of this. So as per this, John, he has decided a 70 gram of sugar produces the largest log, and he accepted this hypothesis. But I am saying, being a second researcher, that I do not accept this hypothesis. I am working on this to find out the accurate amount of sugar which can give on the different sizes of the bread loaf. Whereas I can also test it on the different quality of the flour, the wheat flour or the maida is used into it. Or I can different use it on the baking powder also, or some other yeast, the quality of the yeast also, right? So there are different factors. Here we have considered sugar, but you can do this experiment on the different ingredients of the bread, right? Just to check. So this bread only gives the huge scope of the research to conduct, to find out the best method of producing a good bread, right? Now this result is communicated and presented through a report. So every conclusion viewed through a scientific method must be verifiable. Scientific laws are universally applicable and tested wherever one wants to check their veracity. The scientific conclusions are predictable and it is open to further study also. Okay, it gives a room for the other researchers to carry out the same research, maybe in the postdoctorate or the DLit. Scientific methods are objectively based and scientific methods employ a systematic approach. Now, I have given you a small example because with this my presentation is over, but I can further give you more examples on this. Like in the textile industry, we can do on the size of the fibers, right? There is a huge scope of doing research in the textile industry to develop every day a new fiber. Like the fiber from the lotus, which has medical properties, the fiber which is from some other plant which is held as a herb in the medical treatment, So all these are conducted in a way of experiment research. Yeah, so I hope I was very much able to present the content in a very easy and appropriate manner, and I believe that my presentation was easy to understand and worth presenting. So finally, we'll see the takeaways of the presentation. Like what we have learned today, what we have studied today, which I tried to explain. What is research? Why we do research? Why research is important? And what are the characteristics of a good research? Types of research. Understanding of qualitative research, how research data is collected, analyzed, the methods, and how the qualitative data can be worked upon, and the scientific research with an example. So this is all about my presentation today.
Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear. Yes.
Ma'am, if it is possible, please repeat the process of the qualitative research
Yes, I
again.
can.
I think there was some
Yes, yes,
internet
yes.
issue.
Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Hello. Hello. Hello, madam. Hello.
Just wait, sir. विष्णु सर जस्ट वेट, शायद नेटवर्क चला गया सर मैम का.
ये बग.
Back in a minute. I'll just be back in a minute. I'm losing all my network connection. I'll just be back in a minute. Hello, Kavita ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm done with my presentation. So
Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
madam.
I hope I was
Madam.
very much able. Yes.
Please repeat hypothesis testing, madam. Please slightly. How
Hypothesis
you will get the
testing.
zero?
Yes,
No, no.
yes.
Hypothesis testing mein how it comes the truth and the accepted and rejected 0 and 1. You please this only 4 sentences. 0 and 1, accepted, rejected. Please explain only this. Please.
Yes. I'll try to explain this, though I will not be considering myself a very perfect person to answer this on the hypothesis. Still, I'll try to explain this with an example. Like in the cases of this, we have seen in the example of this bread. Or if I try to take some other example, so once I come up with a problem, like problem is like my specs are not comfortable on my nose or my ears, right? So I have to find out another method so that my specs are more easy to be hanged. I mean, like with not aching my ears, lobes or something. So that problems with this problem, I come up with certain assumptions, right? So my assumption could be I can make a spec which will not be having this stands, the strings to hang it. Can I do something like one factor which is added in the spec? Specifically, I cannot say that. Like something which is more comfortable on the lower side of the ear, which can be hanged. So I'm doing certain assumption to solve out a problem, to find out a solution to a problem. So my assumptions can be right. My assumptions cannot be proven. That would be null hypothesis. And my assumption could be proved right. That happened in the case of the bread. You have seen that 70 gram of sugar was good number, not the very right number, but the good number. So the null hypothesis is right that I'm not reaching any conclusion. That is a null hypothesis. That is my assumption is not standing anywhere. So when I'm able to conduct an experiment, and again I'm not finding an appropriate result, as I have thought that sugar is responsible for the this amount of sugar, or the controlled amount of sugar is responsible for the rise of the bread. If that happens, that is a hypothesis is proved. And the hypothesis is wrong then we are not reaching any conclusion. Okay, I'm not able to prove that sugar is responsible for the rise of the bread. So the hypothesis framing is the assumption for the solution which we are trying to find out. Okay, so the solutions could be on the positive side, on the negative side, or it could be on the zero. So when it is on the zero, that means we have not reached any conclusion. It is a null hypothesis. That is my assumption do not stand anywhere. If I'm able to prove my hypothesis rightly, then it is a positive hypothesis. It is a negative hypothesis. If it is not behavior factor, it is not changing any behavioral pattern. I hope I am able to answer it right.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have a query.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
can the qualitative research be only an observational research, or it can be experimental as well? Because in qualitative research, especially in visual arts field, that is what we feel, that if we are doing a qualitative research, so most of the times it comes out as an observation. So can it be
Yes.
experimental
Ma'am,
as well?
yes. I'll answer this question. See, any research can be done, one research can be conducted in both the ways, qualitative and quantitative. So in the qualitative, as I mentioned, we frame out the parameters for observation, right? In the case of the visual arts, I'll say Picasso. If we have taken another Picasso, and if we are doing the study on the paintings of the Picasso, so you will write like the properties of the colors he has used in different paintings, the size of the paintings, the materials, the brushes, the environment, climatical conditions on which he has made the paintings, his surrounding conditions, his emotional balances, his mental health while making the painting. So these are the qualitative measurable things, right, which will help me to frame the questions. But if I have to check like what is the impact of a particular painting on the audience, okay, which would be like what are the impact they are getting out of the painting when they see the painting and when they have made a decision to purchase the painting in such a huge amount, right? So this would be in the form measured in the form of quantitative, because I'm collecting the responses from the audience. When I'm framing the questions, the parameters to find out the responses, that is qualitative, and then I'm quantifying it when I'm collecting the responses on a scale, right? For example, I have picked up 5 paintings of Picasso and I thought of, I'm saying the mental condition of the Picasso was this, and my consumer behavior on this particular painting I would like to study. So what is the emotional outcome? Okay, how would you rate your emotional outcome? How did you feel happy while seeing the painting? Did you feel sad? Did you feel lost? Did you feel like a connection with your life? So I'm going to measure this. So this is quantifying it. But deciding upon the question, like I have to study on the emotional aspect of the painting. I have to study on the emotional behavior, which the painting is creating on the consumer's mind. That is qualitative. Yeah. But you can, of course, stop your research on the qualitative aspect. It is not necessarily to be converted to quantitative. But of course, there is a scope of converting qualitative to quantitative. Both the manners.
And many a times it happens that like some factors which we are studying are completely qualitative and some factors are completely quantitative. So in a research, both of them coexist sometimes. So then how
Yeah,
can we
see,
reach to
I
the
would like
final
to mention
conclusion with
qualitative
both of
are
them?
that I'll tell you, qualitative helps us to frame out the parameters, and when we want to measure those parameters, we convert it to quantitative. So you have to very carefully select your questionnaire parameters. So the questionnaire parameters are usually on the base selected on the subject matter on the base of qualitative analysis, qualitative studies. And when I'm going to measure the impact of these qualitative factors, I reach to the quantitative because only by the numeric figures I can measure something, right? So you have to be
Okay, so
very careful while
ultimately we
defining
have to
upon your
convert
parameters.
the okay, so ultimately we have to
Qualitative into
convert everything into the quantitatives.
If you want to do a quantitative analysis, not necessary. You can stop your research at the qualitative, as we do in the exploratory research, descriptive research. It is not necessary to be taken to the quantitative. You can stop it by framing the hypothesis. Do not test the hypothesis. When you have to test the hypothesis, then you of course have to take it to the quantitative.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank
You
you.
can raise the problem and you can just leave the problem by your opinions and the analysis in the descriptive form. That
Okay,
you
but
have to
in case
decide as a
we have
researcher
to test
that
the
what
hypothesis,
should be
then
your
we have to
outcome.
convert it.
Yes, that completely depends how you're framing the hypothesis. Whether you want to test it or you do not want to test it, to just leave the hypothesis to be taken by the other researcher. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
So
you.
you have to be clear in your mind, very much clear, like what exactly should be the outcome, a hypothesis or a solution to a hypothesis or a solution to a problem.
Okay,
Right?
ma'am. Got it, ma'am. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Any other question or shall we conclude the
Yeah,
session now?
ma'am, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
thank you. Yeah, when we are talking about qualitative analysis, suppose there are sometimes sensitive issues related to the emotional aspect, mental health of, say, some students, which a researcher may want to assess. So these can they create like do we require certain permissions like from the ethical committee of the university or of the institution
Yes.
before conducting such a research? Because
Yes. Yes.
journals normally ask for conflict of interest and the
Hmm.
guidelines under that prescribed. So could you guide us on this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Yes, Dr. Kitandi. When we do the research and when we start doing a research, we study on the research ethics and the plagiarism, right? Research ethics. So whenever we are studying and doing a research on, say, the religious topics, the topics of social interest, and the topics which can lead to a controversy later on. So we always have to take the rights of intervention. Okay, the rights of intervention to study, because in the medical sciences also there is a separate branch of the mental studies. I mean the mental health, for which the psychologist and the clinical psychologist are doing it. So once you have decided to study on the mental health of a student, because this topic which you have mentioned related to the mental health, right? So I hope the researcher should be related to the field of the psychology, the clinical psychology, because while doing a literature study on the clinical psychology, you will come to know like how you can conduct this research. Okay, because a person who is not a clinical psychologist, I think, cannot work on the mental health situations or the mental health conditions, because the respondents has to be handled carefully. Similarly, the qualitative parameters has to be chosen very clearly, which is in the guidelines of the medical sciences, the clinical, psychological, medical sciences. Yeah. So a person who is doing this, they must first study well the parameters which are considered for the research study of the mental health. Okay. And then of course we have to take care of the research ethics always, because there is always a rights of intervention to the privacy. So from wherever we are collecting the data, I'll give you an interesting case on this, because I'm also conducting FDP during these days in the afternoon in my college. So yesterday we were talking about the data collection. So a professor was talking on this, and he very well presented the data collection methods which is now going on these days by the help of the CCTV cameras and the traffic police. And even at we see the CCTV cameras are the means of the data collection, because it gives the information each and very fine information on the data collection about the car number, the car speed, the car make, the photograph of the driver, the front seater. So this is intervening in the privacy of someone, but this is the rights of the government. The collection of the data is the rights of the government. But if I want to do it, if I want to conduct a study on a particular place for the traffic study, I want to do it, then I have to take permission from the authorities. That I should have taken the rights to conduct the data collection. Right? Yeah. So these are under the research ethics. So from wherever we are collecting, for another example, if I have to do the study of the pollution at the particular, say, Pari Chowk, if I want to do a study on the pollution measures, so I have to take the permission from the municipal corporation or the authority which is responsible, who will give me the permission to conduct the survey. Right? So there is always the research ethics which we have to follow, because research is something, a very authenticated document, very authenticated information, and that cannot be allowing the intervention of the privacy and the rights. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, please.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
you told about some summaries can be done by the other source. Some studies which can be done by the other source for us. I mean, that part I missed it. Can you please explain that area?
Okay,
I mean,
the qualitative study you I have explained, like when you are doing the qualitative research. Hello.
mhm. Yeah,
So
ma'am.
when you are doing the qualitative research, the methods of doing the qualitative research is writing the summaries of the literature you are studying, right? And that is in the narrative analysis. And
अनिल सर प्लीज आप अपना माइक ऑफ कर लीजिए. अनिल सर. Yes, Neelam ma'am, continue.
Yeah, just a second. Yeah. So, Anil sir, you have asked the question about the qualitative methods and analysis. Like in this, when we do the narrative analysis, or we have to do the analysis or study on the rewriting the information about the biography of some person. So whatever qualitative, when we are not testing the hypothesis in some cases, okay, we are just framing the hypothesis. So in these cases, what we do is we study the literature, and we should not be deviated from our topic. And we are humans, and we will not be able to remember all the data we are collecting, right? So summarizing is a process in which we write down, like if I'm studying a book on, say, Gandhiji, if I'm studying a book on Gandhiji, and there must be a huge literature which is available on Gandhiji's life and works areas, and the opinions also. The opinions of different regions, people, and the states and the countries. So when I be reading this and I'm working on my problem area, so I would be having to make the notes. मुझे notes बनाने पड़ेंगे और मुझे उन नोट्स को बार बार पढ़ के एक सिंक्रोनॉजी में भी डालना पड़ेगा, so that I should understand whenever I'm picking कि okay, this is the movement of my research work and this is how I can reach to the conclusion. Okay, so because research is not a small area, okay, it's not just like reading 25 books and I'm done. It might be because if I'm working on Gandhiji, I might have to go through the thousands of books, because more than this the literature is available, and at least 80% of the best literature I should have gone through, right? So how would I remember all this literature, what I have studied? So I have to note it down somewhere. So I note it down, I summarize it, I make my research diary or a journal, and then I put the information in a chronological order so that I can access this information, and later on, because it's a descriptive study or I'm just failing the hypothesis, I have to write down a summary of it, and that summary should be speaking well, should be read well by the audience, right? Because I'm presenting my way of the observing things, my way of observing the life of the Gandhiji. It is also not controversial, because if I'm writing about a political leader, the things might convert to political, and the criticism will be coming, right? So this helps in the qualitative analysis. It's a rigorous study, it's a rigorous writing, it's a rigorous rewriting, because you have to summarize a lot of information of maybe 200 pages or 150 pages, and you have to reread it, whether the information is flowing in the right direction and whether it is in the lines of your research area. I hope I'm able to answer well, Mr. Anil.
Ma'am, I was talking about like you said something about software or some organization
Yeah,
which
there are softwares available which I have not mentioned, that might be arranged by your college, some other workshop. If I will be able to take, I'll take that workshop. Some softwares are available. Let me see. And those softwares actually, I have heard of those softwares which helps the thinking on your behalf, but I'm still not very much sure about that software. And I'll later on give you the link, the name of that software. And these softwares are helpful in doing, because you just put the keywords in that softwares and they help you like finding out the information from the Google, from the net with the links. I'll
Ma'am,
share this
please,
information with you on the mail.
please share with the Kavita ma'am.
Yeah, I'll tell you about one software which I meant. Just a second.
Madam, please post this link into the chat box.
Yes, I'll do that. I'm
Please
doing
mention
that.
in the
Just
chat
wait
box.
for a few minutes. Just wait for a few minutes. I'm just doing that. Actually, the work from home has overburdened our gadgets, and my laptop and my systems keep on hanging. Just wait, I'm telling you. Okay, on this software training, I'm planning to conduct a workshop in my college for this qualitative research.
So how
Basically,
you will get the information
and I
about the
will send
program?
you the invitation. You can join that session. Just a second.
Now, have any query from any participants?
I'll communicate with Kavita ma'am. I'm regularly in touch with Kavita ma'am.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Because this is very important to us.
Hello, madam. Hello, madam. Can you send the PPT? Can you send the PPT?
Yeah, that is a Sysfran is one software, and the other software is, you can write it down, that is Hyper Transcript. Hyper Transcript. And the other software is Sysfran.
Ma'am, please type in the chat box.
Yeah, I will do that. I will share. Yeah, I will do that. I will share the PPT.
Yes, madam. Please.
So software is you can use to transcribe the data is a Hyper Transcript, and another one for the language translation is Sysfran. I'm doing that. Actually, my laptop is hanged. Just give me 2 minutes.
Now,
Hello.
thanks to ma'am for such a motivational. Hello,
Hello, Neelam.
Dr. Kavita ma'am, should I continue?
Just wait.
Yeah, I'm typing it. Yeah, that is a one.
अनिल सर आपकी कोई क्वेरी है? अनिल सर.
Yeah.
Ma'am, Kavita ma'am, ma'am is still replying to our question. I mean, last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I have tried, but it's not reflecting. It is gone from my end. I'll share the PPT. I'll share the PPT with you all, and you can have the link is there. The name of the software is already there. Okay, so you can use that. You can see that information in the PPT because I typed it, transcribe, and another one I have typed, but it is not going. I think there is a network issue here. So you will get the information in the PPT.
So, thanks ma'am.
नीरज वेट.
Okay, okay, Kavita ma'am. Okay.
मैं ज्वाइन करने दो. लेफ्ट हो गई हूँ.
Okay, Kavita ma'am. Okay, Dr. Kavita ma'am.
Hello, am I audible now? Hello, am I audible now?
Hello,
ma'am?
audible. Yes, audible, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, Neeraj.
See that the next one is Sysfran, Systran. So these two softwares are used and popular in the descriptive and qualitative studies. And moreover, if I'll get a chance to arrange this session in my college, I'll send you the invites. So shall we conclude the session, ma'am?
Thank you, Professor Neelam, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much to give me this chance to speak on this platform.
Now, Dr. Kavita ma'am.
And thanks a lot, Kavita ma'am, for inviting me.
Yes.
Now, thanks ma'am for such a motivational and inspirational session of research basis, by which new researchers will definitely be benefited and they can focus more enthusiastically in the research era. Thank you very much once again for giving your precious time for making our FTP program in a successful mode. Now, finally, again, thanks, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Professor Padum Vyas.